Okay, in this video we are going to focus on using the built-in wiki system for Fossil, including the ability to attach images and files to pages and then being able to link to them. So for this video, I've actually created a demo repository. So I have the remote already set up, and I'm just going to go through the steps to actually begin editing that here. I made an account on the server. So when I do this, I'm going to be using my own credentials. So I start off with Fossil clone, HTTPS, then my username, at carbonkick.net, Fossil demo. And I'm going to give it a name, so it's going to be demo.fossil. I'm going to enter my password. Okay, and this is my project folder. You can see that the file is actually right there. I'm going to put that in a directory. Okay. So now I'm going to just get Fossil to open it. Oops. Then I'm going to open up the user interface. Okay, so now it's kind of interesting. On this tab I have the remote server, and on this one I have my local running copy. As long as I don't get confused as to which one's which, just keeping an eye on the local host. So anyways, if you go into the wiki, it gives you some options. And actually, when you go to the home page, this is actually a wiki page. It's just in such a way that you can't edit it by default. If you go to the admin and configuration, you can actually change this so that it actually renders it as a wiki page. But for now, we'll just create a new wiki page. So we're going to give it a name. Creative as usual. And I'm going to do it in Markdown. Alright, so now you can just create the base text for the page. So and maybe some Markdown. Alright, we'll apply that. So now we can see that we have our header, we have a bullet point. It also gives us the option to attach files. So often you'll want to put an image into your page. Pretty simple. It's not really straightforward right now, but once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. So you go to attach, and then you choose the file that you want to add. So I have an image already set up. This one's probably my favorite. So add that attachment. Okay, now we can see here's our page and here's the attachment. Being able to get at this, you don't actually use the URL of the image. Like if you were to open this in a new tab, you can see it has an artifact ID. That's what they call these numbers, artifacts. You can't actually use that because if you choose to separate the permissions in a way that only people who are authorized can access the code, then they also wouldn't be able to access this. Perhaps more than I want to get into right now, but basically when you want to put an image into your wiki page, you want to do it this way instead. So we'll go back to our test page, go to edit, and we'll use the wiki markup, or the markdown format to insert an image. So we give it some alt text, which would be some information that tells you what the image is in case you cannot render it on the device or if you cannot see it. And spell. And then we give it a URL. And we're going to use a special URL that Fossil will recognize, so it's called attach image. And then you begin giving it arguments, and the arguments come after the question marks. So we say page, and this page is called test page. And once we have specified what page the file has been attached to, we then put in an ampersand and give it the file name. And what was that file name? So we go back to our wiki, go back here, list of pages, it's on the page there. So goodnews.jpg. Okay, and let's preview that. And there it is. There is our image. It renders it at whatever size the image is, so before you upload it, you want to make sure that it's the right resolution to fit. Unless you want to change the theming of the web page, you could add some CSS that would scale this down to whatever size you'd like. And then similarly, if you would like to attach a file, you just use a different keyword here. I'll put that in the show notes. Yeah, and then the rest of this is just basic markup language, and that should give you lots to work with. Maybe one more thing, I'll apply these changes. And let's say this is the page I want people to see when they first log in. So if you see here, it just says home, but if you go here, you see it has wiki in front. So it specifies we're going to view a wiki page, and the page name is going to be this. It's kind of similar to the syntax that we used in order to embed the image, whereas here it was attach image and then page instead of name. Same idea. So this was kind of the same as what was in the URL, if you see here. And there it is there. And then we say which file was attached to the page. So it associates the file with where it was attached. So if this were attached on another page, we could still actually reference it from anywhere else in the wiki. But anyways, so this is what we're looking for. If we go back to the admin and the general configuration, we can change this to this. Now if we save those changes and go back to our home, there it is. So now if somebody were to access this, this is the first thing that you would see. And whereas /home did not have any controls available up here, this one does, and now you can edit it fairly easily. Alright, and finally, let's get these changes pushed up to the main server. So we go back to our command line, and we're going to terminate the local server, and check our fossil status. Alright, and it's showing that there are no changes because everything that we did here is actually kind of done internally, but if we push to the server, you're going to see that it is actually sending things to the server. So these changes that we made have been noted, and you'll notice them when you actually do the push. If we go back here, and we'll start from the beginning, so we'll type in the name of the web server, and it looks like nothing has happened. Let's see, why would that be? Check built-in help. Let's try Fossil-scm. Oh, I know what it is. So if we check on the page here, I'm just going to log in. And we go to the wiki, and then we go to the list of wiki pages. There it is. Now the reason it wasn't showing up on the main page is because the configuration of this site is kept separate from the general code repository and the wiki. So if we actually want to change the configuration, we use a slightly different command. So I'm going to say config, and actually let's view the help for that. So if we go help, config. And by the way, the help system is really good. You actually just type in fossil, then help, and then the name of any command. So you could also do push and see exactly what's happening there. So anyways, we'll go to config, and you can see that the full name is actually configuration, but you can use config for short. Oh, and my terminal is just freezing up for a moment. Give that a second. And let's scroll up. So the one that we want is push. So the syntax is fossil, configuration, push, area. And area is what part of the configuration you want to push to. And if you don't specify a URL, it will use whatever is in the remote URL. So I can check that out. There's the server. So if I do fossil, config, push, all, that's going to send the latest configuration. If we go back here, you can see that it's now the test page. So we can actually double check that by just visiting the page, and it still comes up with the same thing. Alright, so I touched base on a lot of different topics there. Hopefully this is enough to get you, fairly productive with the wiki system. There's lots and lots of stuff this program can do. Alright.